Wait a
I
second.
am taking minutes.
Good. Okay. Joe Horton. Robert Ritchie, I guess.
Here.
Ann.
Here,
Haywood, Andrew Hodgkin.
Here.
Jennifer Boyd. Michaela Farmer. Dan Landrum. Who is our liaison. And our new liaison, welcome. And Barbara Womack. Barbara.
Here.
Okay, there you are. Okay, everybody got the minutes?
so I sent those out right before
Yeah.
the
I
meeting.
approve. Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Andrew, thank you for hanging in there the other night
You're
too.
welcome.
So the first thing on the agenda is the tree giveaway. We're going to get the trees probably towards the end of March, like we did last year. I don't know. Last year, I just stuck them in a bucket and put them out at the recycle center. I don't know if we're going to be able to do like we've done in the past with actually handing them out and with a lot of people, with the people from the kids from the Lions Club. I don't know how that's going to work as of yet, but either way, we'll get the trees and we can either put them in a bucket and sit them out there and just announce it. Either way, we'll get the trees given away.
Well, I thought we might have the giveaway. What are we going to do about the sale?
Well, and if we can do all that together, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I guess the town is going to drive what we can do and what we can't do. Who would answer that? Charlie or Dan? Dan, could you bring it to the council and ask? Okay, thank you. But we want to do a plant sale. Barbara's hooked up with a few people in McMinnville that have really good prices on plants. And I think at the same time we have these things, if we could get some literature about the chemicals in potting soil that Barbara had talked about. Barbara, you want to expand on that?
What about Jennifer?
Jennifer.
I'm asking you.
Oh, no.
I've been in so many plant centers, nurseries, and looking at their chemicals, at peat fertilizers and things, and imidacloprid is ubiquitous in all the blooming plant products.
Mhm.
And so if you could write a letter to the editor about our declining pollinators, and that, and maybe some statistics about how many we've lost. It's not hard, Jennifer. You've got a PhD.
No, I understand. Yeah, I mean, but what the scientific literature says is kind of what I need to go by. So
Yeah. Oh, well, either that or you could, do anecdotal stuff.
I could, I know. I just don't want to get into a situation where I'm,
You could write
giving out
it.
information that goes against what scientists are saying. I'll have to look more into pollinator decline in our region and whether or not it's been like scientifically documented.
Okay.
Follow the science. Follow the science.
I have to.
I know.
So
No settled science, I promise.
yeah, I'll research it though.
And also, when you do that, let's say that we need it as our only tool in our toolbox for the hemlocks, and that
Mhm.
hemlocks are wind pollinated, and that
Mhm.
just
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Can you do that?
Yes, but I definitely need to do my research first.
That's fine.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Mhm.
Barbara, I have a question.
Excuse me.
Barbara, I have a question. Are you implying that the imidacloprid is also in the soil?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that you buy a fertilizer and it's systemic and it puts the imidacloprid. Yeah, you put it in the soil and it goes into the plant. And
You're
it goes-
saying the imidacloprid is in the fertilizer?
Yes.
Oh. Thank you.
And what I would like to do is in this thing is to talk to people, and I would like to find out where we can collect this and where we can take it to a hazardous waste place, because you know, I have some that I didn't know I had, and I don't know where to take and what to do with it. But I can call Tom Stebbins and find out the, you know, county commissioner and find, not the county agent and find out what he says.
So it's not in the fertilizer, it's in the soil. It's like one of the amendments that they put in a soil.
That's,
Potting
no,
soil.
it's in the fertilizer,
It's in the fertilizer, not in potting soil, in fertilizer.
fertilizer. And it's there and it's systemic. And I mean, I belong to Wild Ones and they are, I don't know if they have science background or if they are, if it's anecdotal, but they are all saying that this is, you know, part of the problem.
In
And I-
fertilizer, okay.
It's in our systemic fertilizers like
Mhm.
fertilizer.
Yeah, okay, yeah, tree and shrub, all that stuff, okay.
Okay. So again, Dan, if we go to the town and find out what we can do with that tree, and then we'll try to get all that together. I don't know if we'll get because that'll be probably the middle of April. I think it was last year for the tree giveaway and at the plant sale at the same time. I don't know if we'll get,
At the end of March, Joe.
I know we get the trees at the end of March. So probably the first or second week of April, we'll be doing weekend, we'll be getting,
As long as it's not Easter.
right, which is April 6th, I believe, or 4th, something like that.
Right around there.
Yeah. The next thing on the agenda, anybody think anything else about those subjects? Questions?
May I ask you, the preference would be to have them at the recycle center again
Yes.
on April 6th?
Well, no, that's Easter Sunday, so that weekend. But like I say, what we've done in the past, we've got the kids from the Lions Club, and we've given out trees with a little bit of, but there's a lot of people there, and I don't know if we'll be able to do that again this year.
All right, let me, I'll probably contact you privately and we'll just make sure that I've got my ducks in a row and I'll talk to Boyd about it. And I'm sure there's some way
Okay.
we can do it. We can, I mean, those kids can be socially distanced and there's ways.
Right. But as with citizens coming through to get free trees, we're handing the trees, the kids are handing them the trees, and we're giving information about how to plant them and all that stuff. So there's a lot more interaction than,
Passing out plants.
drive by and throw them a tree.
Right.
You know,
Well, I guess to take to the council, or at least take to Boyd, I guess I need direction from you guys, how you think that should work.
okay. Okay.
I mean, from the
Well,
board
like I
in
said-
general, tree board.
Yeah. Anybody want to step in on that, or?
I'd like to see us hand them out and maybe people could stay in their cars. I'm going to have 2 vaccines, so and I'll wear a mask and they wear a mask. We're okay. You know,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get back to normal some point in time. I don't get a vaccine, so.
but I can
Me
do it.
either, forever.
I'm gonna be last.
You know, like in the last,
Vaccine
like
next week.
November, December, maybe.
I get a vaccine
Same.
next week, the first one, so I should have the second one by then.
Okay, okay.
We all go to Pruitt's, right? And like. buy
Well, yeah, I agree.
And
I
like,
agree.
I mean, as long as we're wearing masks and being,
We'll have some hand sanitizer and all that
Yes,
other good
yes.
stuff. I mean, like I say, last year I just set them out in buckets and, people came by and got them and.
Yeah, and I mean, kids are doing sports and things now, so,
Yeah,
My granddaughter's wrestling.
yeah, in
Yeah.
a really, safe way, so.
okay.
So,
Would-
Joe, excuse me, are you asking for Saturday, April 3rd or April 10th or some other date?
I would suggest the 10th, because I think the 3rd is during Hamilton County spring break. Is that right? I think their spring break is the week before Easter. Let me look at
I really don't know.
Hamilton
uh,
County spring break is, let's see. I don't think we want to do it during spring break because everybody, will pretty much leave town. So let's see, spring break starts Friday the 2nd and goes until the 9th.
Okay.
So I guess
Um,
the 9th is a Friday and then there's the weekend after that.
Okay, we could probably do it that weekend. Like I say, we get the trees at the end of March. I've got to go drive to Delano or Delano, whatever it's called, and pick them up.
Well, yeah, Easter's the 4th. I guess so that's right at the beginning of
Okay, all
spring
right,
break.
we can just plan on that 10th then.
Would-
Yeah, that sounds good.
If I recycle, if it changed the way cars drive through, it might be a little difficult. And I don't know what the timetable of that is. Would you have any interest in, I mean, recycle's right up front. We could probably do it over at the Mac. There's the big parking lot and a place to go in case it's a rainy day. But I just wonder if you have feelings about that.
Well, in the past, like since they just changed the recycle center back to where like it used to be, where you could park in the parking lot, and we were on the other side of that. Where in the past couple of weeks you drove through to get in line. Well, we were in that dirt area and set up in the median. So we really didn't interfere with the recycling as.
Okay. I didn't know that it changed already this week, Sam?
Changed as of yesterday.
Yes,
I
sir.
believe.
As of today,
as of
they were
today.
able to get everything in place to be able to make that happen as of today.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Well, then we'll do the same.
okay. And the next on the agenda was tree canopy. Barbara has reached out, and I think, Ann, you got the email that the email Barbara sent had sent into spam folder or something like that. So she has not gotten an answer back to us as of yet.
I sent
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the email.
an email to TUFC, telling them that we had a prior tree canopy report from Bruce Webster, and that it has been over 10 years, and that there's been a lot of tree loss to development and environmental causes. And we would like to see what our current canopy was, as well as putting our landmark poplar on in the Tennessee TUFC roles and rolling it in that. And so I didn't hear anything, and finally I got an email back around the first part of February saying, I am so sorry, this went into my spam folder, but I will get an answer to you as soon as possible. And that's where we stand.
Is this an actual new report or is it an example of a report?
What are you talking about?
The
Oh,
report,
Rob, you're looking at the one that Ann sent out from iTree.
yeah.
with
No,
the-
this is different than that. This is,
Okay, I'm in the wrong one then.
Barbara, could you
it was,
send me
it was a
that?
while ago. It wasn't sent like just recently, like Ann's email.
What are you asking? me?
Your email, right, Barbara? When did you send it to us?
I sent it at the last part of January, first part. Of,
Yeah, okay.
and then it was a while later, maybe a week or two. Then I got another email from, I can find it, I can send it to you all. But it said, I'm so sorry, this email wound up in my spam folder. I just found it. And I will try to get those answers for you. And that was the end of it.
So we're
Barbara,
waiting on,
if you could
Yeah.
forward that to all of us, then we at least know that contact information. Thank you.
I can pursue it again.
Okay.
okay. All right, next is other business. Now, Andrew and I were at the council meeting. I don't know if y'all watched it or what have you. They, on our ordinance, they requested some changes. In 13.7 was the first one, if I remember, let's see, 215, I believe. No, that was a 209. At the very last sentence, the section shall not apply to any trees and shrubs. 13.7 and 209.
Get unmuted. So
Oh,
are you guys seeing this now?
Yeah.
Yes.
so 209, Dan, who's controlling the thing?
That's me. I'm scrolling down to it.
Okay.
Here's side by side.
Okay, 209, y'all see it says this section shall not apply to any trees and shrubs existing as of June 1, 2020. They want that stricken from the ordinance because there are a lot of fire hydrants that they haven't checked on. I mean, they go around and clean them and flush them, but some of them may have a tree or shrub next to it. That's the reason they want that taken out of the ordinance. Because they want the right to cut it down, and I agree. If it's something blocking the fire hydrant, then we need to get rid of it for safety purpose.
Right.
Anybody have any problems with that?
No.
Okay,
No,
so.
The same
Andrew, you
reference
will
would
be-
come out of 13.222 as well.
I'm sorry?
The reference to 13.209 would then be deleted in 13.222.
Right, right.
Wrong sections.
Yeah, that grandfathering. And the other thing that they had an issue with was in 13.211, the second paragraph, where it says, the town manager at his or her discretion upon recommendation by a member of the tree board or after consultation with a forester or ISA certified arborist, talk about taking a tree down. They're worried that a tree member may go rogue and say it has to come down, not without the rest of us. Now, I don't ever see that happening, but they seem to think that need to be reworded. Anybody have any suggestions?
I think they were suggesting, Joe, that the phrase "the town manager" be put further down in the paragraph.
No, what I think the issue was where, because by it says upon recommendation by a member of the tree board. Scenario, Joe goes to Boyd and says, I don't like the look of this tree. I need to take it down. I want it down. Then by this, it has to come down. So they want it reworded some kind of way.
Yes, my understanding with what they were suggesting was that we reword it to say, upon recommendation by a member of the tree board or after consultation with a professional forester or an ISA certified arborist, at the discretion of the town manager, the director of public works shall be directed to remove or cause to be removed. That if you move town manager down in the paragraph, then all the foregoing recommendations, the town manager can consider at their discretion. That was my understanding.
Okay. Anybody have a problem with that?
Does that still mean that if a town manager wants to take a tree down at his discretion, he doesn't have to consult anyone? Is that right?
No, I don't read it that, I don't see it that way, but, and
That's the way I see it that way.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was the intent with Boyd's original concern with this language back in September, was that this is specifically related to dangerous trees in public rights of way. And he didn't want to have, he said he needed the flexibility and the discretion to do that himself. That he can't, that we, at the time he was saying that we don't have the ability to control what he does or doesn't do. So I think what we were trying to do was keep in there that we at least could make recommendations ourselves as well that he could listen to.
Well, I think it said in the original that if it's deemed a hazard, like it's going to fall on somebody, then he has the right to take it down without calling any of us, which I agree with. If it's a hazard, it's a hazard. But it depends on who's making the call that it's a hazard.
Because
And not only that,
his discretion comes first in the paragraph.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know, that's why we word it. Like, if he it's his discretion, but
Yeah.
we
What's the
wanted
point
him
of
to
doing
call us. I mean, I think what preceded all of this was if he determines it's a hazard. I mean, if it's falling down, it's falling down, but
But this doesn't say hazard. It just says a tree, you know?
I
it
know,
has-
but I think it's elsewhere
Farther in the
this
paragraph.
document,
It is
somewhere
further
else in this
down.
document where it said, and I'm not sure where it is, but where if he.
It's
a
the
tree
last
that's a
line.
hazard.
It's the last line where
If it was deemed a hazard, then, let's see,
It's actually sort of in the middle of that paragraph. It has, in the beginning, it refers to any tree or part thereof within public rights of way, blah, blah, blah. That isn't in an unsafe condition or that by reason of its nature is injurious to utilities
yeah.
or is affected with any injurious fungus, insect, or other pest. So
okay,
it's definitely referring to hazard trees.
Okay, and so therefore, notwithstanding the foregoing, limits healthy trees being removed.
right.
Okay,
right.
okay.
May I point out why I made a mistake reading just a moment ago, that the language is clear. I wonder, Andrew, what you think about this. I was looking at the last line of 13.2.10, where it very clearly states in an immediate public health and risk.
Right.
This is not as clear.
Yeah, I think the issue is if we put upon recommendation as the opening clause, then everything that comes after that's tied to it. And I think it should be more of separating the language with, I don't know, Romanettes or numbers or something, where it's, the town manager at his or her discretion, or upon recommendation from the tree board member shall consider, or upon recommendation of an ISA certified arborist shall consider, and then all that leads into having the public works director remove the tree.
May I ask a clarifying question? Because I'm not trying to direct how you guys word this or purposes, but I want to make sure I understand the purpose.
Okay.
Tell me the purpose.
Well, there was an incident year before last, where they cut down a bunch of trees at town hall because there were hickory nuts in the ground that they deemed a hazard. Somebody might slip and fall. So they cut down 3 or 4 trees. And it didn't go over well. Let's just say that. We'll leave names out of it, but
How does this address that?
well, Boyd determined it was a hazard, which we didn't think it was a hazard. I mean, they planted the grass and the trees had dropped hickory nuts, and he was worried that people would slip on the hickory nuts in the parking lot.
Those hickory trees had been there since the town hall was built, and all of a sudden they became a hazard, and they were cut down to make grass grow. That was the issue.
If those trees, this last sentence in 13.2.11 would have prohibited that if those trees were not in a right of way, but were just on land somewhere outside of the right of way.
So that's Andrew, where it addresses that, the last sentence.
Yeah, and I don't think, it didn't sound like the council had any issue with the last sentence. It's just, it sounded like Charlie and maybe Andrew had concern that the language could be read to say that the town manager can only, or if a tree board member made a recommendation, must do what the tree board member recommended.
So the problem you're solving for is Charlie's objection that you could have a rogue tree member,
Right.
board member. And do you think you've done that?
I don't think so, just because, I mean, I see what he was getting at in in the council meeting earlier this week. And I think he had some suggested revision that sounded okay to me, which is just some sort of clarification that the town manager retains discretion when he's making a decision. But whenever a tree board member makes a recommendation, it's not an obligation, but that the town manager will consider it. And again, this is, again, only related to dangerous trees within rights of way. The last sentence is to carve out for any other instance.
What, can I ask, why does it say, why is it necessary for it to say by a member of the tree board instead of just the tree board?
Well,
Does
I
that
think-
like help keep one of us from going rogue?
Yeah. Like we're gonna do that, you never know.
You never know.
I think that's rather than get every tree board member there is why we put a member of the tree board. I mean,
Right.
Boyd will call me and say, hey, this tree at such and such is a problem. Would you go look at it? And I'll go over there and say, I think we ought to call an arborist. If I
Right.
don't know, if it's dead, it's dead. But I think that's the reason we put a member of the tree board as opposed to the whole board, because then
Yeah.
we've all got to get together and go over there and look at this tree.
Well, do we though? I mean, it doesn't say we all need to go and look at the tree. Like maybe one of us can go look at the tree and then tell the other ones about the tree and we can come up to a decision, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not certified tree anything. So
No, me neither.
I'm just saying, I'd go over there and
That's
look
why I
at
wouldn't make a decision without consulting
an
others
arborist.
on the board. Well, or others on the board at least.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying about like it would be hard to get everybody to go over and look at a tree, but I didn't think that recommendation by the board instead of a member of the board means that we all have to go over and look at the tree.
Right.
How about just consultation? With the tree board. And then Joe can go look and then he calls us and consults.
Yeah, just where it says after consultation, put member of the tree board and then start in with the professional forester. That would work, wouldn't it?
I would just say upon recommendation by the tree board or,
I'm worried about something though, the purpose of this paragraph. And again, Andrew, it seems like you've honed in on this, is town doesn't notice it. A professional forester doesn't notice it. Somebody on the tree board notices, hey, this tree is dangerous. So it's not about consultation. It's about recommendation. This is about the tree board saying, hey, this tree's a problem. Or a
Would-
member of the tree board.
would it be more the opposite though? I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine the tree board recommending that trees be taken down. I would think we're the opposite, right? Like we're the ones that are going to be like, no, it's not.
Are you going rogue?
I am, I'm going rogue. I'm going to be the rogue tree board member that says to take all the trees down.
You don't own a chainsaw, do you, Jeff?
No, if you got lucky for the town.
Well, that's fine with me. I mean, if we need to make it as after a consultation with the tree board, I think his biggest issue was, again, unless it was a hazard, who deemed it a hazard, that he has to ask us for permission, and he didn't want to do that. Andrew, was that your understanding?
Yeah, I kind of wish that we could just ask them to provide us what their suggested revision is, and have us sign off on that. Otherwise, we're kind of,
Yeah,
it feels like we're reaching around in the
Right.
dark here, and kind of negotiating against ourselves. It's not really a negotiation here, obviously, but I mean, we're trying to figure out what they want and come up with something that works, but we're also kind of struggling to quite understand the revision that they're looking for to get what they want.
Okay,
You can
Well-
write, it was Charlie who had the objection. You can write
Right.
him and ask for specifics and ask him to give you a proposed.
Okay.
That
And
seems like a reasonable thing.
and I think
And
it,
if he does that, Dan, gets it back to Joe, can Joe just circulate that amongst us for approval?
I think if you guys decide that's the way you want to deal with it.
and again, the issue he brought up was like very specifically, only an attorney, I think, would note that reading could be, that you could read it that way, and he noted that. So if he could maybe help us with the drafting to close off that reading, would be helpful.
Okay. So
And
Andy,
I think it was upon recommendation shall, because shall is you're required to as opposed to may.
Okay.
And then I think they also had issue with 13205.
205.
And they also had suggested language on that one or Boyd had some language he proposed that I thought made sense. And it was
There it is.
the first highlighted sentence. The tree board shall have the authority to advise on and participate in.
Oh, in private developments.
Right.
Yeah, he had an issue with the tree board having to have it. Like I told him, we just wanted a seat at the table when the developer comes in that on the landscaping. And he felt that with the word shall, that they had to come to us to lay out their landscape, which I
Joe?
would be.
I think
We-
the hangup was on authority more than shall, or maybe it was that
Okay.
combination, authority and shall.
Authority to advise on and participate in the development. And I think Boyd's recommendation was the tree board shall have the authority to participate in discussions during the development of guidelines and landscaping and care of trees and private developments.
I think you guys all said you were okay with that.
Yeah, I was okay with it. I mean, these are recommendations, and we can go to the developer and say, or the planning commission and say, this is what we would like, but they could go in and mow everything down and do it. And we don't really have, there's no teeth in it. So, if they want it worded that way, then I guess that's what we got to do.
I didn't have any issue with what they were proposing. I mean, I think it's in line with what we were trying to do with our language. And the issue we were just discussing, they're concerned that you could just read it as though we had the final say in anything.
So we
Right.
would take out the authority and just put the tree
Right.
board shall participate and advise, or recommend.
I think it would read, the tree board shall have the authority to participate in discussions during the development of guidelines.
Okay, so yeah,
The
I
landscape.
thought someone said that there was a problem with authority. Because authority generally means you make a decision and that decision stands or goes to a higher authority to be rescinded, correct?
Yeah, the issue here is we're talking about a section of the ordinance that is giving us authority to do or not do things.
Okay.
And so I think their issue was more on the word advise, that
Okay.
if we have the authority to advise, then technically they're saying they could read that mean
Okay,
if
so
we
they
didn't
have
want
a
if we didn't want a certain thing, then our say goes.
Oh, okay.
So I think if we could get rid of advise and instead make it participate in discussions during the development of guidelines, that would get Boyd what he wanted, and then hopefully get Charlie and Andrew what they were looking for.
We would have a seat at the table. That's what we want, authority.
Yeah, that's basically
We
all.
want to
we're
make
at.
sure we have a seat at the table and part of the discussion, our recommendations, et cetera.
May I ask this to you guys in a different way?
Sure.
And this may be maybe at the same place you were before, where you send this proposed wording to Charlie and say, does this answer what you want? But if you were guessing based on what you think he was asking, how would it read?
I'm fair. We can go back and look at the YouTube video if we can find the exact moment where we were discussing it. I think Boyd threw out the suggestion that it says the tree board shall have the authority to participate in discussions during the development of guidelines for landscaping and care of trees and shrubs in private developments.
The magic word there is the discussions.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
getting
really
and
changes
getting
the
rid
game.
of advise, I think.
Okay.
And maybe it should say the tree board shall have the right to participate in the discussions
That
during.
probably, because if we want to, we want to. If we don't have to. Anybody else have any other thoughts on that?
I would like to note that I think some of this came from the Planning Commission last year or the year before in talking about guidelines for subdivisions for private developments. They were asking for input from the tree board on that. So to me, that's what this paragraph is, that kind of thing is what this is referencing.
So then in that instance, that's okay. Thank you, Ann, because that reminds me now of the genesis of where this language came from, which is the Planning Commission wanted the tree board to be able to assist them. And we looked at the ordinance and didn't see anything that gave us that ability. And so we tried to add something just to give us the seat at the table.
And now we have, from the original genesis of this, we have different planning commission members. So there are new monkey wrenches in it.
Be conveyed to the council. Who's going to do that document?
Ann, would you want to put a letter together, or Andrew, or I can do something to ask for him what he wants?
Since Andrew is our attorney, I would love for him to actually put the wording together if he's willing. And then I guess he and Joe could take it to,
Charlie.
I guess the council, to Charlie.
Well, I mean, Andrew's great, but does he want to act as our attorney? I don't think so.
No, I'm just saying he's so good at wording.
Right. Andrew?
I mean, I thought the plan is, I mean, I guess email Charlie with our language in 13205, but we were going to ask them to propose language
Yes.
for
Yes.
13211.
Okay. Do we want to do the same with 13205?
Well, it would probably simplify things if we did it. Andrew can say, does this work? Is this, but that's got to go to Boyd. Boyd was the one who was, objected to that word.
I think we have enough of an idea of what they wanted in 13205 that we can make the first. It's
Okay.
just two small changes, but we can't quite grasp, I guess, the minutia that they wanted changed in 13211. So while sending the 13205 language, I can just ask them to, if they could recommend something for 13211 for us to consider.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that was it for the ordinance.
Yeah, that was it. That was it on the ordinance that I remember anyway. I can go back and look at the YouTube video, but I think that was it. And other business, somebody anonymously dropped off $500 cash to town hall to help with the cabling of the poplar tree. We don't know who it was.
That was me.
That was you?
That was me.
Did you really,
Michaela?
Michaela?
I had our GoFundMe sent for a check to town hall and it never got delivered. So I hand delivered it.
Oh, okay.
I took it over there.
That's good.
So, okay, good. So now
Was
we
it a
got,
check?
Thank you, Michaela.
Michaela, was it
Yes.
cash?
It was.
Okay, thank you, Michaela.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
thank you.
I got it. I was
so-
like, you know what? We're not doing this. I just put it in an envelope and marked Arbor Cabling Funds and I just took it over there myself.
Okay, good. Thank you. So do we know where those funds came from? Do we want to acknowledge?
So that's all from most of it's from GoFundMe. And then a couple were in-person donations from people I know.
Okay,
And
okay.
I have sent thank you notes for those.
Yes.
Right. Okay, well, I'll let Sherry know that's what happened, because she emailed me and said somebody just dropped off $500 cash, and I don't know.
Nope. That was me. Did
Okay.
she say it was a blonde lady?
No, I don't think she was there. I'm not sure.
It was an
she-
older gentleman that was there behind the desk. And I just
Yeah.
knocked on the door because, it's not open to the public right now.
Yeah,
Right.
So I asked him to deliver that to Sherry.
Okay.
He's temporary, probably.
Okay.
Very sweet.
Joe, could we go back just a moment to tree canopy? I sent everyone right before the meeting just the sample iTree report.
Yes.
iTree is a software package that was developed by the U.S. Forestry Service and Arbor Day Foundation and a whole bunch of other people. It appears to me that it has significant capabilities. So I just went in and did a 50-point random survey within the town of whether a particular point was a tree or not. So that's the little report. And on the second page of it, you can see the kinds of information it can give you. And that's just the canopy part. If you will just Google iTree and do some reading about what its capabilities are, it's a fascinating product, and maybe we could use it for other things as well.
Okay.
How do you access it, Ann? How do you use it? How do you get permission to access this?
There are parts of it that you can access just publicly, no problem. You can also download it onto your own system to play with it a little bit more.
Okay,
If you want to actually do the kind of thing I was doing with those 50 points, you will need a shape file. So I had talked with our town planner, Garrett, at Southeast Tennessee Development District. He steered me over to the GIS guy with them, who sent me the shape file. And all that does is define the town limits.
okay.
So you give that as an input when you're first starting to use the software, and it will then give you the information only within those parameters. So if you want the shape file, let me know. I'll be glad to send it to you.
Okay. And other business that was, we have been awarded again, Tree City USA, our 11th year. They're supposed to send me the paperwork, the stickers and all that other good stuff. I just got a notification today, so.
Thank you.
So is there anything else in other business? Andrew, you've moved, or you got a different background.
Yeah, my fake background crashed.
Fake background.
Oh, I really liked it, Andrew.
Is there anything else? All right, we adjourn.